have been retained to represent Travis McMichael. I can share with you that we have done an initial investigation, and we are committed to doing a thorough, complete, and accurate investigation of the facts in this case. We had a conversation this morning with the prosecution team. We have a great deal of respect for Ms. Holmes and the Cobb County DA's office. And we have a mutual pledge with them to handle this case professionally and responsibly, because we are all too aware how high the emotions are running in this case. Jason and I have been practicing criminal law for longer than I care to state on national TV. We know the pain felt by our clients in these cases, by their families in these cases, by their friends in these cases. And most of our adult lives fighting for justice, fighting against injustice. We have represented people in all segments of society. We know firsthand the unfairness, the indignities, the burdens that are put upon people accused of crimes, some people more than others. We have laid awake at night trying to think of what else can we do for our clients. We have sweated blood together to do everything we can to fight for justice for everybody, for all segments of society, because we know how oppressive the machinery of the government can be. And that is why, as I stand here today in front of you, I am so saddened at where we are in this matter. People who know better than to rush to judgment. People who know better than to engage in stereotyping are rushing to judgment, are stereotyping. And that saddens me, because those are people I truly ally with most of the time. In some countries, when the government accuses you of a crime, you have a show trial. You get convicted and you get sent to prison. Or even worse, you disappear altogether. But we understand here that when the government accuses you of a crime, how easy it is to accuse. And so we have that presumption of innocence. And we have that due process of law with rights for every individual accused of a crime. We need to be mindful of those rights that are embedded in the very fabric of our society, that are promises made by our Constitution, a document we hold up to other countries as an example of how government should function. And so I implore all of you, members of the media, reporters, journalists, commentators, and the listeners and readers that follow your lead. Don't rush to judgment. We will be presenting our evidence in a court of law, whether it's in Glenn County or someplace else. The government will have an opportunity to present its evidence in a court of law, and then and only then you can judge. Thank you.
I want to also say, in the 15 years that Bob and I have worked together, we have done so in diverse communities throughout the state of Georgia, throughout the Southeast really. And in working in these communities, in working with these individuals, and working with their families, working with law enforcement and the community itself, we have held the hands of those people through the ups and the downs of our cases, the tragedies associated with these cases. Mr. Arbery's death is a tragedy. As attorneys who are stepping into this case, we feel an immense responsibility to be respectful, to be ethical, to be conscientious, to have a commitment to the truth, and we are going to shoulder the responsibility of that commitment to the truth and to those core values that we as attorneys hold dear to ourselves and our profession. That is our promise to you all. That is our promise to the community here in Brunswick, to the families, and to the individuals. We know that there are strong opinions. We know that there is anger. We know that there is outrage. We are open to those opinions. We will listen to that outrage. We promise not to inject more volatility into this process as best we can control. Our commitment is to the truth, and we will seek it. As Bob said, our commitment with the District Attorney's Office began this morning. It will continue until the end of this case. Right now, we are starting at the end. We know the ending. What we don't know is the beginning. For the last week, we have invested a tremendous amount of energy, effort, and time in reviewing statements, reviewing videos, reports. What's very unique about this case is usually you have a district attorney's office and an investigating agency who is doing the investigation and producing the evidence to hand over to us. In this case, the entire nation is investigating. And so we are learning with the rest of the country what's going on. But we promise to you that we will take all information in, we will find the truth, and we will bring that truth out, not here, but in the courtroom. What's coming up next is a bond hearing for Travis. That date is not yet set. With the coronavirus, we understand that that is probably going to be a virtual bond hearing. Travis will attend through a virtual setting. We don't know if we will be with him or in a separate room. But at that hearing, we will ask the court to consider releasing Travis on bond. We do not know what judge that will be. It must be a superior court judge because of the nature of the charge. And we're not sure who that judge is going to be just yet. We also will have a preliminary hearing. A preliminary hearing will be held in the magistrate court by the magistrate judge. That will most likely occur in Glenn County. That judge will be listening to testimony of the officer or officers in the case to determine whether or not there was probable cause for Travis's arrest. We believe that hearing will also be conducted virtually. Our commitment to you all is to keep you aware of what we're doing, when we can hold press conferences for you so that we can keep you advised. That will suit us best. If you allow us to do that, we would appreciate it. So we do have a short period of time for a few questions. If you would like to ask a question. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for doing this. The question is about this videotape, and to kind of help us understand more of your client's perspective, can you tell us what else do you want the public to know about that videotape?
Let me tell you what we want the public to know. We want the public to know that Jason and I and our team are doing everything we can to look into all the facts, including viewing the videotape, including talking to witnesses who may or may not be on the videotape, to understand how many videotapes there are, and to get the best view from those videotapes that we can get, and we're going to do that.
Is Mr. Arbery's family said that he was out for a job. Does your client dispute that?
So right now, what you're saying to us about the thoughts and opinions and attitudes of other people, this is just the very beginning for us as we go down this road. So we're listening. So we're listening to what the family has to say, but we're also listening to the other witnesses in the community, and we will be reviewing all of what we understand is out there. There's a lot of information out there, and as we take it in and we digest it, again, our commitment is to the truth, which will answer that question eventually, and we believe that answer will come forward as we move through the court system.
And let me save y'all a few minutes. You're going to be asking for specifics and how people feel and what they've said and what we've seen, and I can save y'all a few minutes. We know a few things. We know our commitment to this case, our commitment to Mr. McMichael. We know the same things that you know from what you've read in other reports in the media. And our commitment to you and to Mr. McMichael is to review everything in this case and not judge anything until we have all the facts as well.
Travis has a presumption of innocence. That presumption of innocence follows him from now throughout the course of this trial until and unless a jury decides that he is not innocent. And we expect, whether it's the GBI or whether it's the Department of Justice or whether it's the District Attorney's Office, they all would agree on that statement. And so we certainly ask you to honor that. We honor it and hold it as in the highest regard. And so we'll move forward with that in mind. Yes, sir.
Your client has been called a vigilante primarily because he and his father grabbed guns to go confront a jogger. Why not call police? Why did they feel the need to address it themselves?
We understand that what you're saying is one of the thoughts, opinions, or maybe the facts that are being expressed out there. What we're learning is there's a lot more information out there. There's a lot more information that will answer that particular question in the way that I think will be the answer to that question. However, right now, as we get that information, we want to be careful and responsible with that information before we are able to share with you the truth of that. Yes, sir.
Client's father has his own defense team. Are you expecting separate trials, and do you see their cases, if so, to be drastically different?
Right, you go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Gregory McMichael is being represented by Franklin and Laura Hogue in Macon, Georgia. We know the Hogues, we know they're fine attorneys, and we look forward to working with them as much as we can.
Do you see the defendants being tried separately or together?
You're asking us to look into the future, and if I could do that, I would be living in Tahiti right now.
Are you advocating for a separate trial then?
We are looking forward to working with the Hogues to the extent possible. I'm sorry, one at a
This
time.
gentleman was asking.
And then we'll take yours.
You mentioned and put focus on your client's right to a presumption of innocence.
Yes.
Did Ahmad Arbuery have a right to a presumption of innocence that day on the street?
So the presumption of innocence carries with a person who is accused of a crime. The attitudes that the community feels about one another, we know that those are very real. We understand the opinions and attitudes of people across the country, that those exist, those are very real, and they are playing out in the case as we see it. But the presumption, specifically the presumption of innocence, is a legal term of art that follows the accused.
He was followed because they believed him to be involved in something that day. They were accusing him that day.
I understand your question. I think the answer to your question is, as we learn more and as we talk with all of the witnesses and as we review all the evidence, I think there will become greater information. The facts and circumstances of the before and the middle and the after will all come to light. And we, as shouldering the responsibility of that information, will honestly and ethically share it with you as we move through the court system. We will not hide from the answer to that question.
You got a question?
Well, my question was actually similar. You talked about people stereotyping and rushing to judgment, and I think, would you not agree that there's an argument that can be made that that's what the McMichaels did because they didn't see this young man committing any crime? Did they not stereotype and rush to judgment that day?
So we are asking everybody who's following this case, who is reading about it, who's reading about it piecemeal, who are forming opinions without knowing all the facts, to just take a breath. Because the facts will come out. All of the facts will come out. That's the purpose of a trial. And once the facts can come out, then people are free to express opinions, to form opinions, to have opinions. But until then, what we're asking and we're imploring everybody, for the sake of our communities, is to just take a breath, let the facts develop, let the case play out where it should play out, which is, I think we can all agree, in court, not on TV shows, not in the press.
So I think what we're going to do at this time, is we're going to make sure that you have our contact information. We're working with an assistant in our office to make sure that we receive your emails. If you want to send us emails or requests, and we do and will respond to that the best that we can. We're not going to take any further questions because we need to get back into our case. So yes, so I'm Jason.
Hold on.
I'm just gonna. Sure, I'd be happy to. I'm Jason B. Sheffield, Robert G. Rubin, if you want to say it yourself.
Rubin.
And Sheffield, Sheffield. Peters, Rubin, Sheffield, and Hodges is our firm. Our main office number is 404-296-5300. The pandemic is something that we're also very concerned about. We appreciate you allowing us to physically distance. Social distancing feels like it goes against what we are about, which is we are social people. We want to be social, but we want to be physically distant. So we are practicing that in our office, and we hope that you'll accept our desire to do that. In terms of the court system, the pandemic is slowing things down because Justice Melton has just recently issued the newest of 3 orders now extending the court closures to a certain extent through June 13th, I believe. And so what that is doing is that is only allowing any truly necessary hearings, but most of those hearings are proceeding by video or Skype or Zoom, and proceeding in that way where they're not hearings about true confrontation with witnesses. They're informational hearings, hearings talking about case law and things like that for the judges to make decisions.
Do you have a time frame for that hearing within the next week?
I would imagine that we're going to have to take instruction from the court, and we're going to have to do what they tell us. But it's something that we will be filing our request as soon as possible, probably by the beginning of next week.
Can you tell us when you were hired and if you've actually talked to your clients?
We have talked to our client, and we were retained on Monday.
Okay.
Thank you all.
We appreciate your time, and we appreciate you being here. Thank you very much.
We have work to do. Thank you all.
You.